There are two reasons why I gave up on my Galaxy Z Fold 3 after using for 6 months. One being the cumbersome form factor and the other its poor battery life. Despite that, I still have a soft spot for the Z Fold, mainly because it serves as a really good smartphone and tablet. And the Z Fold 4 has won my heart once again when I popped in my main SIM card 2 weeks ago. It might look very much the same like its predecessor, but the subtle improvements Samsung has made is worth all the attention. So here's the full review. Let's start off by talking about the improvements I like. First, the cover display, which might have the same 6.2-inch diagonal measurements as its predecessor, but now comes with a wider 23:1:9 aspect ratio due to the slimmer bezels, which makes it slightly comfortable for my Asian-sized thumb for texting one-handed, and apps no longer feel cramped on the screen. The hinges are also slimmer, that makes it slightly lighter than its predecessor, and the internal 7.6-inch display got its bezels trimmed as well to give it a larger screen-to-body ratio. Second, the under-display 4-megapixel camera is less visible and obtrusive. While its image quality is still a far cry from the cover display's 10-megapixel camera, I feel that it is actually more serviceable than before with slightly better processing in low light, if not substantially better than before. Third, the triple camera system on the back, which again looks the same as before, but there is an upgraded 50-megapixel main sensor and a better telephoto sensor that does 3 times optical zoom, but more on that in a bit. Last but not least, the Z Fold 4 Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor offers better performance and power efficiency than the Z Fold 3's Snapdragon 888, which is the most noticeable improvement as I daily drive it. There are no sudden stutters after using it for extensively, it doesn't heat up terribly even when I'm continuously working on it for 30 minutes, and yep, gaming on the Z Fold 4 is smooth and free of performance throttle. Hardware aside, the Z Fold 4 also enjoys better out-of-the-box software with One UI 4.1 based on Android 12L, which I'm now really glad that switching apps from the cover display to the internal display feels so much seamless. App resizing is also done better on a big screen, and finally, that taskbar dock is probably more ingenious and useful than the dynamic island on the iPhone 14 Pro, which you can easily switch apps and access the app drawer without quitting the app you're on. You can then drag and drop the app on 4 parts of the screen to open in split screen, which most apps I've tested works very well. Finally, 2 app optimizations that particularly excites me are Netflix and WhatsApp, where I can binge watch a series in flex mode when used like a Nokia E90 communicator, while I can view my list of chats while working on the next half of the internal screen so that I can check on other conversations. These are just a few of the interesting ways to use the Z Fold 4, and that makes it such a great device to use on a daily basis. Despite that, the Z Fold 4 isn't all perfect, and Samsung didn't fix certain things. For instance, the crease on the internal display is still there despite using a slimmer hinge, although it does feel slightly thinner than the Z Fold 3's that makes it less annoying when your fingers run through the display. Next, there is still the same visible gap when it is folded, which dust will definitely get inside if you put it inside your pockets. Last but not least, the phone still charges at 25 watts unlike the S22 Ultra that can charge at a faster 45 watts, which I really think Samsung should have included since we are paying almost 7,000 ringgit for this device. To be honest, I wasn't all disappointed with the cameras of the Z Fold 3 back then, as they produce really good all-round image quality in most lighting conditions I shot on. But man, the Z Fold 4's new 50-megapixel primary sensor does take things up a notch with better details and colors. Noise levels are also non-existent in dim lighting. Samsung's image processing is, as usual, pretty extreme in certain lighting conditions, which will sometimes over-sharpen photos or oversaturate colors. But to most average people who appreciate a nice memorable photo of their road trips and those who want the convenience of using as a high-quality selfie camera, it does an incredibly good job for that purpose. The optical 3x zoom camera is great to have to getting closer to subjects, and it takes reasonably good quality photos, which I'll give it an A- rating. And for the fun of it, you can get up to 30x digital zoom if you want to, but you really don't want to show it off. The ultra-wide camera is the very same from the Z Fold 3 and works very well in taking ultra-wide shots with very minimal distortion and no soft focusing issues. Now, one of the coolest things about using the Z Fold 4 is that you can use it as a really good selfie vlogging camera. I'm actually recording this video right now using the 50 megapixel primary lens on the back, which can actually now record up to 8K resolution at 24 frames. Even though it is capable of doing that, I do not use it at all because it is basically just a cropping of the sensor, which isn't really good quality video, and it is also recording at the wrong frame rate. Now, the telephoto lens will also support up to 4K 60, but the ultra-wide lens is limited to 4K 30 frames per second, which I think is still reasonable, but I really would have hoped that Samsung would make the ultra-wide be able to record in 4K 60, which would be great for smooth 4K vlogging videos. But you know what, we're actually recording this in 4K 30. Let me just show you how the quality of the ultra-wide camera really is. Let's switch to the ultra-wide lens right now. There we go. Look at the quality of this. Stabilization is really good. Dynamic range is good as well. And we're gonna go to the telephoto lens now. And oh, that's my eyes. Look at this. My eyebrows are like super sharp right now. And let's get back to the primary lens. So yeah, this is the video quality of the Z Fold 4 recording in 4K 30. And let's get back to the review. Like its predecessor, the Z Fold 4 has the same 4400 mAh battery, but due to the more power-efficient SoC it uses, standby times are so good that it would merely drain around 5% of the battery during my 8-hour bedtime, and I will only need to charge it on the next working day with a 4-hour screen-on time. The only bummer here is that the 25-watt fast charging only works when it is charging from 0 to 30%, which can particularly be frustrating when I'm in a rush to get it charged. Ultimately, the Z Fold 4 is more than just an iterative upgrade over the Z Fold 3, though they look exactly the same. Although it's still a little disappointing to see that Samsung hasn't included some hardware refinements that other foldables have done over the year, let alone its expensive price tag. However, if you know what to do with it and take advantage of this form factor, this is a great foldable that I can totally recommend. So let me know what are your thoughts on the Z Fold 4 in the comment section down below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. That's it for our review for today, and I will see you guys in the next one.